Gentlemen, may I command your attention for just a few moments. Chris Wallace here, advisor to men, mentor at large, and teacher to those who are willing to be taught, with a message about carnal relations, and more specifically, about what is going on with a woman's spirit when she disrobes for you and offers her body. So I bring you this little talk, something I call two-faced sex. If you read me, you will know that I teach something of what goes on with a woman around her sexuality. Of course, I'm not a woman, and most would consider me a fairly masculine man, though. I wasn't always this way. I had to cultivate my masculinity, commensurate with my maturation and an understanding of my father over the decades, to where now I embrace my essential being in full. Yet I have observed women all of my life. 4 sisters, 4 brothers, centered in a family of 11. I thought to replicate these influences as an adult out into the world, and I've been watching and learning ever since. It has been my conclusion that a woman needs to surrender to a man sexually to maintain her spirit and nourish her soul. She must safely visit her shadows under his protection and consumption. It is this act which allows her to be the goodly partner in public, that lady. She cannot do this with a needy man, for how could she expect a boy to protect her? She cannot do this with a troubled man, for how could he turn his attention to her? She cannot do this with an unsure man, for how would his indecision not multiply her fear? And she cannot do this with an unkind man, for how could she expect to return from his evil? To stand naked before someone is to trust them in that moment. There is no sword, no shield, no dagger hidden under the sheets from which she might secure escape should his consumption turn cannibalistic, should he decide to make of her a last meal and provide himself with sustenance to fortify his body before the cold of winter returns to his soul, and then see him wander off in search of new game. She is pursued for her bounty, the skin, the curves, the copulins of her vagina. He can smell her, and if he consumes her, this incites him to her. That he spares her when she is laid so bare indentures her heart to him. That he protects and participates in her darkness is their secret pact together. For she is acutely aware of the dual nature of her being. She knows the sisterhood and has lived under its yoke since birth. They watch, they know, and she dares not rear herself above another. To do so, she risks being cast out. She fears being sentenced to terminal aloneness. There, companionless, isolated, an unwanted solitude of desolation and despair, she'd be left to twist on the vine, to wither in the winds with no one of her kind. This is forever present in her mind, where she risks a form of death alone. It is this duality she must breach for the sake of her soul. On the one side, there is a calling of her carnal spirit, her inner she-wolf, versus the caregiver spirit, compassionate, selfless, willing to help, but fears being taken advantage of. Yet she cannot caregive alone. It is into this breach between she steps, into these two extremes of service to self and others, that she falls blindly with her man. And she risks it all. All, you see. It is no small thing. And knowing this now as you do, how may you help her to help you? so that your power and love is used wisely in service of you both. That is your challenge. That is your calling. Your calling from the heavens, from the winds. The two faces of sex. Stay powerful. Never give up. This is the day. Chris Wallace, advisor to men. Thank you for listening.